Hey everyone, we are in some extraordinary times here in the world and in Canada. Um, and Canada is setting a precedent for the rest of the world. And I'm not here to talk about politics specifically. I want to talk about how this relates to us as Christians or other religious people. So not just Christianity, but other religions as well, and how it affects you, how it has potential to affect you. So first of all, we are called to respect our governing authorities. That we are called to do. However, we are also called to follow God no matter like where it takes us, where God leads us. We're called to respect God first and foremost. And when the government comes in the way of us being able to follow our beliefs and follow God, God supersedes the governing authority. I do want to say as well, like Emergency Measures Act was applied now. Trudeau has enacted it. If you go online and you look up the government page for the Emergency Measures Act, it was actually edited within hours of him enacting it, so that he could make it seem as if he was following the letters of the law of it. But if you actually go to the actual act itself, a lot of things that he is doing are not in alignment with that act. So the thing that he is using is the public order and public welfare, and as well as the economical side of the act. That is what he is claiming and wanting to use. When you actually go in and you actually look at it, it is pretty ambiguous, a lot of it, and can be interpreted in a lot of different ways. But no matter how you interpret it, all the marks that need to be checked off in the act have not been checked off. But for us as Christians and us as other religious organizations, other groups of religious people, how it can affect you is we have seen a lot of prayer at these meetings. You saw it at the end of the Coots blockade. They prayed at the end, and then they actually went and they shook hands with the police officers afterwards. And it was a peaceful end, and they actually cleaned up everything afterwards, not leaving a mess. Which even in Ottawa, you see a lot of people are saying that the streets of Ottawa have never been so clean because they're cleaning up everything. And I do know people who are in there. I won't mention their names at all for their own protection right now. But they have said that they have never seen so much prayer and religious meetings and stuff as they have seen at the blockades, protests, whatever you want to call them, whatever the government is terming them as now. They have never seen so much of that as they see at these things. Everybody I've talked to, everybody I've listened to, except for your CBC and CTV and Global, your government bought organizations, paints it as being this peaceful organization, and it is. It's been peaceful. There's been no violence, and anybody who paints it otherwise, you know, that they're lying, because I've watched a lot of video feed, and I've talked to people who who are actually there, through different media and stuff, you know, they say it is peaceful, and they're handing out roses to police officers, for crying out loud. They haven't been burning buildings down. They haven't been overturning vehicles. They haven't been throwing things at cops. They've been respectful for the most part. I mean, yes, they've been honking their horns, which is annoying at times. But when people actually who are there look at the streets, they're not blocking police access or emergency vehicle access. There's streets open for them to get through. What this measure allows them to do now is to prevent these protests, prevent gatherings if they want. They can declare them illegal. And so if you are doing a prayer meeting in support of the truckers, the government could deem that as support for the truckers. And they could come in and they could break up that prayer meeting. They've been threatening to arrest and fine people who are feeding the truckers, saying that is supporting them. So do be cautious about how you're advertising these meetings. If you're holding those kind of meetings, if you're doing any kind of fundraising for them, they can come after you personally, or as a church, they could come after you for supporting the truckers. So again, be very wary of how you're advertising that, and how you're raising the funds and getting the funds to them. If you want to get the funds to them, you need to talk to the actual trucker rally organization organizers themselves, about how to get the money to them. And getting the banks to go along with this is dangerous, you know, because already truckers have been finding that they've gone to buy things and their cards are frozen. They can't make a purchase. Well, if you are deemed as being supportive of the truckers, they could come and they could freeze your funds. They could freeze your bank account. They could make it so you can't support your family. And I myself, I don't agree with blockading borders. I don't think that is a wise decision, a wise choice. Protesting in the streets, we have a right as Canadian citizens to protest in the streets. That is our right. It's in our Charter of Rights and Freedoms. One of the main signers of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, the last one to be alive, who signed that original document, he is against this, as it goes against the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. And people, sorry, I'm in a lot of pain, so just forgive me for that. Trying to organize through my thoughts through pain. The court rulings have deemed the protests to be legal. The only person who's deemed them as illegal protests has been Trudeau and the Liberal Party themselves, and not even all of the Liberal Party. Their own members have been against that. So when our government is now blatantly going against our own people, and not respecting the laws of our own land that they're supposed to be upholding and abiding by, God is our main source that we need to be looking to right now for hope. He needs to be the one we're turning to for prayer, praying for the truckers, praying for the supporters, praying for religious organizations that we will be able to still maintain our own integrity and follow God's guidelines, and not necessarily just following blindly the government. We need to be looking at how the government aligns with our own religious beliefs and with how it is following it. That's not saying we should be doing an uprising, because that's not at all going to be helpful. What I am saying is we need to be prayerful and looking into our religious texts, for myself, the Bible, for guidance in how to follow this and how to look at this, and not just blindly looking at the government-funded media like CBC, Global, CTV, CNN, like those kind of foundations that are not necessarily spreading truth. Look elsewhere. Look for live streams of different things that are going on. Look at lawyers who are talking about this. Lawyers who are talking about this are, sorry, my hand is shaking, are saying that the legalities behind this are not there. And it wasn't what the act was originally designed for, and only the Trudeaus seem to think that they have the right to really act on these provisions. His father thought that he had the right to try and implement these kind of things as well, but religiously, we need to just maintain our own strength, our own integrity. Don't spread hate. We still need to respect the police officers, because right now they are in a tough situation, where they're choosing between their duty to uphold, protect, and to serve us as citizens and Canadians, which is what they are sworn to do, is to protect and to serve us as people. They're not sworn to uphold whatever the government wants to implement. They're sworn to protect and to serve us as people and to maintain the law. And right now, with laws not being broken, except for laws that Trudeau is now claiming are being broken, even though there is no real stick-to-itiveness behind it, I guess, because even the police chief hasn't supported it. He stepped down in Ottawa. There's been other police who are resigning, taking sick leave, holiday times. Tow truck drivers are refusing to haul these people away. The courts aren't backing up the government in terms of these things. There is an organization for our Charter of Rights and Freedoms, and even they say that this act is going against that Charter of Rights and Freedoms. So as religious people, we need to be taking a look at that and thinking, does this align with our command to respect the governing authorities? And right now, it doesn't align with that. That's not saying we need to go after our religious people or our political people. We need to be looking at from our Bible and from our religious texts. Go in and take a look at that and ask God to give you guidance as to how to look at this and how to react to this, and just be constantly in prayer and communication with your religious leaders in terms of how we should be reacting to this and looking at this. Legally, there isn't really grounds for them to be enacting the emergency Emergency Measures Act. Yeah, they really haven't met the criteria for that. It's a stretch. It's an abuse on our freedoms. And being able to come after us financially is the real threat. That is the real threat, because they could look at anybody who supports the trucker convoy, and they can come after you and take away your ability to support your family. So you really need to be looking at that and be thinking, where are we going with this? How far can he take this? How far will he take this? And he didn't have the support of provinces or territories. There's more than half the territories and provinces have not supported this act. And in Parliament, he does not really have the support of the other parties, except for the NDP, which the NDP just right now, they has a tendency to just grab onto the Liberals and ride their coattails, because he himself can't have power, and that's the only way he can get power. So from that standpoint, following the Emergency Measures Act, he doesn't have the support of the Canadian people as a whole. He doesn't really have the support of the government, and as a result, he shouldn't have the support of religious leaders, of religious organizations. I'm not saying whether or not you should fund the truckers and what they're doing, but that's up to you to decide whether or not you feel that is something you should be doing. I am saying that we do need to be cautious at this time, and we do need to be thinking about it from religious standpoints. And before we react to anything, before we post anything online even, we need to be really being prayerful and mindful about how it aligns with our religious views, our religious beliefs, and looking at it from that standpoint. Henry Hildebrandt is a pastor who's there praying right now a lot, and we need to be praying for those kind of people who are there, helping with keeping things peaceful and keeping religion there as a focus. We need to be praying for those people, that they will have strength to maintain their religious integrity, and that they'll be protected while they're there, because they need that protection. And we, as religious organizations, this act gives them a lot of leeway to come into church buildings and places where religious people are meeting, just on the notion that it may be supporting the truckers in some way. So just use caution, keep praying, maintain hope in God, and that God ultimately prevails in these situations, and God knows what he's doing. And he'll protect us, and he will keep us safe. And if we end up persecuted because of this, then we're not alone. There's a lot of persecuted religious people out there in the world, and use it to make you stronger. So I've rambled on enough. Keep praying, stick with it, and yeah. Follow God and maintain your religious integrity.